I think a great thing to look at is that Australian audiences are still unbelievably embracing Australian stories on multiple screens. And I think it's been very successful in all of those kind of screens. But what we're sort of flagging to everyone is to keep that going is going to take some changes because the world is changing in terms of funding and distribution. So whilst it's great now, we're not crying wolf, the problems really are on our doorstep. Basically, to make content here is expensive, in any way, shape or form. And we're a small population still to actually recoup those costs. It's much cheaper to acquire something from overseas than it is to make it here locally. And whilst audiences are very, very keen still to see that local product, just the maths, the economics of funding it are getting trickier. And audiences are splintering. And whilst that's brilliant, there's multiple ways to view things now, it's harder and harder to fund that content. People like us, our role will become even more important, but we too have financial challenges. What you're looking at again is that some of the hours are down, and largely that's to do with people are commissioning shows with a shorter run. You're not seeing amazing shows like Packed to the Rafters that run, or Offspring that runs season after season. You've got brilliant telly on, but it might be Peter Allen in a couple of episodes, or Secret River, so again, they're shorter hours, and that's also challenging because the costs of making a shorter run show are much greater than amortising it over a long run like a Packed to the Rafters. It was pretty consistent, both the number of projects getting made, both with our funding, with the offsets, or independently. It was kind of, level playing field. Obviously we had fantastic results this year with people going to see them, so that's always a good thing. But yeah, local film is doing okay. We've done this report for 25 years, and I think what you've got to do is never look at a year in isolation. You've got to look at trends, and how it all falls together. So next year, the foreign funded stuff might be massive, and potentially it might mask a problem with local television or local film. So, which is why again we ask people to really look at the reports as great research and data for everyone's use, but look at it, don't look in isolation, look over a couple of years at least. It's massive. I think particularly people forget that the big employer really is for crew and facilities, houses and location services. And that's what something like that can do. This week's announcement by our Minister and the Foreign Secretary about the two other big new films coming in for 2016, that's securing thousands of jobs and then spill over into town because every restaurant, every taxi company, every hire car company will get benefits too. And the promotion of the country, from everyone talking about Chris Hemsworth suddenly being here as Thor, every newspaper in the world ran that story and talked about the Australian star coming home to Australia. So it's invaluable on lots of lessons, on lots of levels, but what you need for consistency is a lot of local product going. We're happy that local film is pretty consistent, but it's again why we're looking at telly, because it's much more likely that people, actors and crew get more consistent work on a TV show than a one-off film, big or small. It's obviously really exciting how there's the lines between different mediums are getting blurred, and whilst traditionally digital content hasn't been captured by this report because it hasn't been at the right length, there's a few exceptions like Plonk, which is in this year and a show we're really excited by. But things you will see that have come from our digital support and will be captured in future reports, things like The Catering Show, where they had an incredibly successful digital online presence, but now the ABC are making television content, which we're delighted to be involved in too. PDV we're unbelievably strong in. We have extraordinary talent. We seriously are world leaders in this space. RSP and and Animal Logic are two that spring to mind, though there's quite a few more. But as you say, Legos 2, 3 and 4 are getting made, some here and some not. But again, still Animal Logic is integral to all of them, so an Australian company is involved. We're very excited where that space is going, and I think it's a great moment too that governments are very keen on clever, smarter technology and workforce. And we are part of that too. We're a fantastic cultural industry, but we also do clever, new employment. There's great things coming up in 2016 and 17 and beyond. There's some things returning series. So for example, you will see Love Child, you will see House Husbands coming back. The Secret Daughter, the Jessica Mauboy announced show. It's brilliant to see an Indigenous woman front and centre in a mainstream primetime show. With the Habibs, you know, great diversity of Australia on screen. Family Law coming soon. In film terms, there's the prequel to the unbelievably successful and adored Red Dog. There's Lion, an amazing film about adoption and finding your place in the world, finding home, finding out where you belong.